Hi, Phil Ciccio here, founder of Success Think and creator of Think Yourself to Success, where we teach you how to outperform your conditioned way of life so that you can consistently live from and into your full potential. You know, I truly believe that you have the potential to literally astonish yourself with what you can accomplish and what you can achieve in your life. And my mission in life is to help you do just that. I am so excited to share this training video with you because I know that this information can literally change your life. You see, when I learned what I'm about to share with you, it was life-changing for me. It really was. Now, most people at this point in a training video would tell you to grab a pen and grab some paper and take good notes. And honestly, during a live presentation, I would probably recommend the same thing, okay? Because I know how important it is to take notes. However, when we do this, what it does is it causes an interruption in our learning because while you're writing and thinking about what to write, you're going to miss what I continue to teach. And I don't want that for you, right? What I want you to do is just sit back and absorb all the information that I'm about to share with you. This is important, right? Because I want this to go deep into your subconscious mind so that you begin to see changes right away. Now, I know you're probably thinking that you want to capture all that you can, and I get that, okay? I understand that. But what we've done here will give you that and a lot more as well, okay? At the end of this video, what you're going to be able to do is click on a download now button that will allow you to gain access for free, okay, a digital version of this image that I'm about to share with you and the cliff notes, all the things that you need that come from this video, everything I'm going to teach you here, right? Now, here's the thing. We created all the notes for you and they're yours for free, so don't worry about it. You'll have everything you need for this lesson so you understand this lesson, you can go through it again, and everything you'll need in preparation for the next lesson as well. I love doing this way because now I know I have your full attention, and that's important to me. I want to have your full attention. I want you to be fully engaged in what I'm going to teach you here, because if you're fully engaged, I'm going to help amplify your learning tenfold so that you can get immediate results, right? So just relax, open up your mind, and we're going to get started here, okay? Now, in this video, I'm going to teach you how to change the way that you think so that you can achieve the success that you've always been dreaming about. You know, whether that's financial success, enjoying wonderful relationships, having better health, or succeeding in a career that you're fully engaged in, I'm going to help you think your way to that, okay? Imagine for a moment that you're living where you want to live, right? And you're living with who you want to live with, and you're enjoying all that life has to offer, like you should be, right? You know, you see people enjoying life like this, and you wonder why, even though you're working so hard and you're trying to grow, you still haven't found that key to get you that life that you dream of. So many people are looking for the key, right? Have you ever wondered why there are so many things that you want or you want to accomplish in your life? I mean, you've been thinking about and dreaming about and hoping for. However, even though you seem like you want it so bad, you seem like you have that burning desire, for some reason, you find yourself not doing what you know you need to do to make it happen, right? I call this the knowing-doing gap. You know what I mean here, right? You might be struggling, let's just say, with wanting better health. And even though you know what you need to do to have better health, right? We know that we need to exercise and we need to eat right. You find yourself not doing it, right? You find yourself saying, I really want to do this. I'm going to exercise, I'm going to eat right, I'm going to start doing the right thing. You believe you're going to do it, and then guess what? You don't do it. That's the knowing-doing gap. Or maybe you're not doing well with a relationship. And you know how difficult it can be to develop a relationship and, more importantly, maintain a strong relationship, right? And I'm sure you know what you need to do. You need to tell those that you love them, right? You need to tell those that you care about that you care about them and you value them. But even though you know what you need to do to have better relationships, you find yourself not doing what you know you need to do. You say, I'm going to be more caring, I'm going to be more loving, and then you find yourself not doing it. It happens in all areas of our lives, right? How much we earn, with the work we do, with our level of success. But here's the thing, you don't have to continue to be stuck in the knowing-doing gap like so many people are. There's a way to close that gap. And when I learned these simple ideas that I'm going to teach you, it literally changed my life. Well, you know that I don't have to tell you this. You're certainly not alone. There are so many people like you that are stuck in this knowing-doing gap. So many people are living so far beneath their potential. It isn't even funny, right? It's actually sad. You may look at your results and ask, why am I not accomplishing anything near what I know I'm capable of? Guess what? You're not alone there either. I've met so many people that say that they want more, yet they continue to struggle. it really saddens me to see this because there's no reason for it. See, the challenge is that we've been conditioned to settle for mediocrity. That's right, we're conditioned to settle for mediocrity. Maybe you were brought up in an environment of lack, or an environment where you heard things like, well, you know what, they're lucky and we're not, right? Or you heard people saying that, you know what, you're not smart enough, right? You don't have the right amount of education to be successful. Or this is just the way it is, right? See, this environment is what's conditioned most people to live below their potential. So many people, so many of us someone else's opinion of us or someone else's beliefs about us become our beliefs. You see, when you were born, you were a clean hard drive. And guess what? Your parents, your grandparents, and the people that were around you, they began entering software code right into your hard drive. Now, some of this code was good and it serves you, but I've got to tell you this, some of it was virus code, and that is holding you back. Now, it's not their fault because they were programmed as well by their parents and their grandparents. So the challenge that most people face is that they don't know how to rewrite that code. See, we weren't taught how to program ourselves. We really weren't. So we were programmed by others. We were programmed by others who aren't even living the way that we want to live, and we wonder why we're living the way that we want to live. Does that make sense? You're probably living just like the people that were around you in your environment. And I know it's frustrating to you. It was for me as well. See, I grew up believing that I wasn't worthy of success. I really didn't think I was. I was conditioned by my environment along with some genetic conditioning. And maybe once you hear my story, you're going to be able to sort of relate to my story, because I bet you a lot of what I went through, you're going through right now. But you don't need to. And you don't have to go through the pains and struggles I did, right? You see, when I was a boy, I had some condition that was holding my body back from growing into a young man. I was stuck as a little boy for a long time. See, by the time the doctors realized it, my self-image was completely destroyed. All of my friends were becoming young men and young women, but I was stuck, just like a little boy. I couldn't compete athletically, of course, and this caused me to do poorly academically as well, because I had a real lack of confidence, because I was still like a little boy and all my teenage friends had grown up. You can also imagine what it felt like when it came to young women, right? They didn't have an interest in me because I still looked like a little boy, even though I was a teenager like they were. Now, during that inner struggle, my parents, who were born in Sicily, they decided they want to move back home. And we were living in the United States at the time, and while I was still in school, they pulled me and my sisters out of school, and they moved us to Sicily. They moved our whole family to Sicily. Now, think about this. I wasn't doing that good in school here, right? I was struggling in the U.S. at school, where I actually spoke the language fluently. Can you imagine how difficult it was for me in school when I didn't really know the language? I mean, I knew a little bit because I grew up with my parents speaking it, but I certainly wasn't fluent in it. So it wasn't long before I dropped out of school. And I figured out if I couldn't use my head, then I better get good at using my hands. And I went to work as an apprentice mechanic. Now, I'm sure you can probably imagine the program that I received after I dropped out of school, right? You'll never be successful because you don't have a high school diploma. That was being burned into my mind from others and, of course, myself, because I thought that way too. Well, the belief that not having an education meant not succeeding to me, along with a really poor self-image, caused me to believe that I would never have the life that I wanted. That belief and that type of thinking literally controlled me for 20 years. I literally let something that happened to me 20 years prior, right, dropping out of school, hold me back. I had no idea that that was just a truth that wasn't even true. And you might be facing something like this as well, where you're letting that report card that you got in school dictate your success today, right? Or you may be allowing what someone else's conditioning or somebody else's conditioned belief about you is now your belief, right? You're letting somebody else's idea of you dictate your current reality. Or maybe your last boss or someone else in your life that has really no clue what's possible for you, they're telling you that something's not possible for you, and guess what? You take that as your belief. But even though that they have no clue about what's possible for you, and their words aren't even real, their words became real to you. They became your reality. Well, all those beliefs that I have, and all those ones that you have, aren't even true. But guess what? We make them so. When I learned that my beliefs were actually passed on to me from others, and then they became mine, that's when I knew that I could change them, because if they weren't mine to begin with, and they were somebody else's, I could get rid of them and change my life, and that's what I did. See, I faced some tough emotional challenges, and then one day, I decided, you know what, I've got to have more. I got to do more. And I decided that I was really going to go back to America at that point. I was 18, just turning 19. And at 19 years old, I decided, okay, it's time. Now, I was still going through treatments for my growth issue. I was being injected with something because I was still like a little boy. They were injecting me with, I don't know what it was. My grandmother was actually sticking a needle in me, right, in my thigh, because they were giving me something to grow. So I looked like a little boy, and I told my parents, listen, I'm going back to America. So they were freaking out. And I asked them, I said, would you fund the trip? And my parents, they loved me so much that they said, no, we're not going to do it, right? See, they wanted me to stay in Sicily, and they figured I would never have enough money to go, and therefore I would just stay with them forever and I'd be a happy family. Well, guess what? I did it. I raised enough money to buy a one-way ticket to America, and when I arrived here, I had $200 in my pocket and a really big dream. Just a dream to have more, be more, do more. I just wanted so much more. Now, I was really fortunate because I found a job at a Mercedes-Benz dealership as a mechanic, and that's when my new life really began at 19 years old. I did well as a mechanic, and eventually I got married to a beautiful young woman, and of course, we were 5 years apart. She was 5 years younger than me. You probably can guess why, because I looked 5 or 10 years younger than I was, right? And we had 2 beautiful children, and things were good, but I really wanted more from my family. The problem was, I just didn't know how to go get more. See, I was still being held back by my programming and my poor self-image. For some reason, years had gone by, but I was still being held back. I remember trying to find a way to live better, just to live better and have a better life. And everyone said to me, just work harder. You've been told this probably before, just work harder, work harder. Well, I worked harder, and although a few dollars more came into my pocket and my bank account, I still wasn't achieving the success that I really dreamed of, and especially the success that I saw other people living. And I was working really, really hard. Then one day after my family and we left church, we were walking outside of the church, and they were having a fair. So we decided to walk around the fair, and as I was walking, I walked by this table, and it had a bunch of used books on it. Now, I hadn't read a book since I had left school, and I actually found out recently that somewhere around 80% of high school graduates actually never read a book after high school. I mean, that floored me, but I was just like them. I was the same as they were. But for some reason, there was a book on that table, and the title of that book grabbed onto me, and it wouldn't let go. The name of that book was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. If you haven't read this book, I want to recommend that you grab it right away after this video, right? Grab the book because it was amazing, okay? I remember picking up that book and thinking that maybe this book would, help me figure out what I need to do to get more and to be more. And I remember walking around that fair, I was actually holding the book with the cover facing my chest because I didn't want anyone there to see what I was reading, right? Becoming Rich. I was worried that people there would think that I was nuts because everyone knew that I was a mechanic, and why would I be reading a book about becoming rich? You might be having the same problem where you share your goals with people and they laugh at you or they make fun of you and they knock you down. Well, fortunately, I held on to the book and I started reading it that night. And that book changed the way that I was thinking, and it led me to another book. And that book led me to another book. And that book led me to hundreds of books, hundreds of audios, hundreds of videos, seminars, workshops, coaching programs, and coaches, and my life completely changed. I was so immersed in personal and professional development. I was learning so many things. I began to think in a completely new way, and before I knew it, my self-image started to go up, right? My confidence skyrocketed. I found myself doing things that I truly never imagined doing. I mean, I never would have ever imagined the things that I was doing. And I remember one day I was at work, and I was working underneath a car repairing it, and one of the executives from the dealership came up to me and said that the company was looking to restructure, and in order to grow, they were looking to have a new executive position created. And it was like several rungs up the ladder from me, and he said that he felt that I should apply for it. Now, I looked at him like he was on some sort of drug or something, right? I'm like, what's he thinking? I'm a mechanic, I'm underneath a car, executive position, several rungs up the ladder. And I said, what makes you think I'm capable of that position? See, I had no idea how I would be able to handle such a position. I'd only been a mechanic my whole life. I didn't finish high school, and obviously I never went off to college. Well, his response was that he had seen how I'd been interacting with others, how vocal I was at meetings, because I was a pretty vocal guy at the meetings, right? He saw that I had a really positive attitude from all of the reading that I had done, all the study, and he said that he noticed I had a willingness to help and step up at any opportunity. He really believed in me, and he believed in my ability to take this position. Well, I told him I think about it, right? And I didn't really feel like I could do it. But I went home and I shared what he had said to me to my wife. And, she really encouraged me to go for it. My wife Debbie is amazing. She's always helping me, right? She said, you've been trying to find a better way to do something bigger. You've always been trying to get out of there. I wasn't really happy there. And she said, you weren't happy there and the way things were going. Why don't you take the job and you'll make the place better so that maybe you'll be happy there? Well, I'm sure that not only that, she knew I would make a lot more money too, and that would be helpful, right? So then I went and I asked my best friend. I said, what do you think? And he said the same thing. He said, you should go for it. Make the place better. See, I'm not sure if you've ever had people believe in you before you believed in you, but I can tell you one thing. It is magical. That was so powerful for me. Maybe you've experienced this, or maybe you've actually believed in someone else before they believed in themselves. I mean, that's powerful as well, right? Well, I decided to go with the belief that they had in me until my belief system actually kicked in. And I went and I told Tim, this is the man who offered me that opportunity, I said that I would apply, and I asked him, what do I need to do? I had no idea what I needed to do, right? And he said, well, there were others in the organization that were applying, along with some outside talent as well. And he said, what I would need to do is interview with the president of the company, which that alone scared me, right? Interview with the president of the company. And he said I had to submit a resume. Well, that, I got to tell you, was scary as well, because I didn't even know what a resume was. I mean, I had never written one. I had never even seen a resume. I've heard of it, but I didn't know what it was. Well, after I learned what it was, I realized that in order for me to even fill a full page with what I've accomplished in my life on a resume, I'd have to use like 300 font, because all I could write in there was, I am a mechanic. That's it. So I figured, okay, I got to scrap that. That's not going to work. I mean, there's no way I could write a resume. So I wrote a letter and I titled it, If I Owned This Company, This Is What I Would Do. Now, I remember walking up to the president's office. Now, I was working that day as a mechanic, so I'm in my blue uniform. Picture this for a minute. Blue uniform, the one with the tags on each side of your shirt, one that has your name on one side, and so it said Phil on one side and the name of the company on the other side. And I had a red rag in my back pocket, black work boots. You can picture this, right? You can see me as a mechanic, right? Well, I'm sure on the way up, as I was going up to his office, I probably even got grease on the carpets. But anyways, I get up to his door and it's open, but I knocked on the open door and he said, how can I help you? And I said, well, I was here to interview for that new executive position. And I got to tell you, he was extremely cordial. And he asked me to come in and sit down, which was nice of him, of course, right? And then he asked me for my resume. And I told him that I didn't have one, but I wrote a letter. And, he really surprised me. He actually took the time to read it, and to make a long story short, I got that position. And despite all that was against me, I mean everything, the fact that I didn't have a high school diploma, the fact that I didn't have the required bachelor's degree, or even any experience whatsoever, I got the position. Think about this, a mechanic in an executive position. So we took that dealership to the #1 spot in the Northeast in just a few short years, and that caught the attention of a large corporation that eventually purchased us for a premium. Now, the journey was amazing, and I had a big part in that, And I found out that we really do have untapped potential within us, and it can be expressed once we begin to change the way we think. I had no idea I had what I had inside me, and I know that you have this in potential as well. I learned that for things to grow on the outside, first things must grow on the inside. You've got to grow first. Well, I ended up leaving that new company shortly after they took over because, you know what, I knew I was capable of so much more than what was possible under that roof of that corporation. And now I coach and train companies just like that one, along with Fortune 500 companies and individuals of all walks of life really reach for their full potential. See, my mission is to help people all over the world consistently reach higher levels of performance. I mean, this is what I'm living for now, right? What I do is I help them reach higher levels of performance by outperforming the life that they've been conditioned to live, the life that you've been conditioned to live. Really reaching for the highest and sustained levels of clarity, energy, courage, productivity, and influence through what I call high performance coaching. See, I began to study and apply what I learned. My life began to change dramatically when I started to really study and apply. I closed that gap between knowing and doing, right? I studied everything I could get my hands on in the personal and professional development area. Now, I've been coached and mentored by some of the most well-known experts in the personal development industry. I'm talking some of the top people in the industry. And what I've done is I've taken all that I've learned from these people and all the books and all the seminars and all the workshops, and I've synthesized them all into 11 powerful lessons that I've been sharing with people all over the world. Now, these lessons have taken my students to greater levels of performance and literally changed their lives. But this isn't about my students, and it isn't about me. It's about you and how I can help you. And once you learn and apply these same lessons that I use to go from a mechanic with a low self-image to a successful coach, speaker, husband, and father, you're too going to be able to close that gap between what you know and what you do. And guess what? You're going to be able to live the life that you deserve. And you deserve this, right? See, what I share with people are the 11 lessons that I learned that changed my life, right? These lessons have transformed my life and the lives of thousands of people, and once understood and applied, will change your life as well. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to teach you the principles of these lessons in this 3-part video series, okay? I'm going to walk you through the foundational principles of all the 11 lessons, but the foundational principles of how we think and how our mind works. And also how to understand the paradigms that are holding you back from having what you want. Now, the other thing is I'm going to teach you how to break through the fear that stops most people from going for their dreams. Fear stops so many people in their tracks from having what they want. So I'll help you really reach your full potential. See, I'm sure you've experienced fear, right? You've been frustrated with the fact that you're capable of so much more, right? And for some reason you haven't been able to express it. Most of the time is due to fear. See, I know that you have so much more in you. I know you do, because you wouldn't be watching this right now if you didn't. You wouldn't, first of all, you wouldn't have hung in this long, okay? Because I've been talking a long time here, right? But you're hanging in here because you want more for yourself and for your family. And one of the challenges is that most people, and maybe you as well, don't fight hard enough for yourself. That's why I do what I do. As a coach, I fight for you. That's what I'm here for, to fight for you. See, I told you that my wife and my friends believed in me before my belief system kicked in. They were fighting for me. Well, I'm the one that believes in you before your belief system kicks in, and I'm going to fight for you. So I want to get started. I want to show you this graphic here that's on the board. Okay, this is a graphic of the mind and how it works. This is important, but I want you to focus on what I'm going to share with you, okay? I don't want you to draw this. You don't need to, because what I'm going to share with you is really a lot of information. I want you to bring this into your subconscious mind. I don't want you to be worried about writing it down and writing notes, because like I said earlier, at the end of this video, you're going to hit a download now button. That's going to give you free access to a downloadable digital copy of this image completed with cliff notes from this lesson, okay? So don't worry about taking notes. Just pay attention to what I'm going to share with you, okay? Now, the reason why I'm going to share this graphic with you and kind of walk you through this process is because you must understand how your mind works in order to be able to start thinking like successful people think. Now, the problem is most people don't know what the mind looks like. And the reason this is because we think in images or we think in pictures. So if I was to say to you, think of a car or a boat or a home, what do you see flashing on the screen of your mind? You see pictures of cars, boats, and homes, right? You see a picture of a car or a boat or a home. You don't see the word C-A-R. You do now, right? But you didn't when I said car. This is important to understand because, see, since we think in images, if I said to you, what does your mind look like? You probably have a blank picture or a picture of your brain, or you might have like some people just say, I see a complete mess or fuzziness, right? Since we don't have a picture to work with, it's impossible to understand. So my mentor taught me this graphic, but it was taught to him by a gentleman. The actual graphic was created by a doctor in the 1930s. His name was Dr. Thurman Fleet. He was a chiropractor, and he was trying to teach the people, how the mind works, but without a picture to work with, he was confusing people. So he came up with this graphic illustration, and I've studied it, and it literally changed my life. When you just get through this process here today in this one training video I'm going to show with you today, this will change your life. If you apply this one principle of understanding how this mind works and how it can serve you rather than disserve you, it'll change your life. Things will begin to change immediately today. So let's walk through this, because what we think about comes about. All right, this is important to understand. What we think about is our reality. Every great thinker, every great theologian, philosopher, any great success story you've ever heard of, they all agree on one thing, okay? What we think about comes about. Our thoughts become our reality. You can read all the great books going back 6,000 years. They might disagree on a lot of things, but there's one thing that they're all in harmony with. Our thoughts become our reality. So understand this. What are you thinking about? Because what you're thinking about is creating the results in your life. Actually, look at the results in your life, and that'll probably tell you what your dominating thoughts are. So let me walk you through this. This upper circle here, this is your mind, okay? The big circle is your mind. Now the smaller circle down here, this is your body. Now notice that the mind is much larger than the body. This is done intentionally because up until now we've given all of our conscious awareness to our physical body and our physical results, when in reality everything that we have in our life is an expression of our mind manifested through our body. Our body is an instrument of the mind. Our body is just a puppet of the mind. You've probably heard that. What we think about moves the body into action, and that's why we get our results, okay? So the mind is split up into two parts. We have the upper part of your mind, this top part of your mind is your conscious mind. The bottom part of your mind, the lower half here, is your subconscious mind. Now, your upper part, the conscious mind, this is your thinking mind. It's where all your ideas originate. This is where you can accept or reject an idea. Idea comes in, you can say, I want to believe that, I don't want to believe it, I want to accept it, I want to reject it. You can originate ideas here. You create pictures here. This is where the images are flashing at the conscious level. In other words, everything that's going on, all the words that I'm saying right now are creating pictures in your mind. And you can accept this idea or reject it. The choice is yours, right? This is where you could create an image. It's the only thing that this is what amazes me here, is so many people don't take advantage of this, okay? Think about this for a moment. As far as we know, we're the only creature on the planet that can actually do this. Think of a picture and see it, right? We can use our imagination. We can actually see whatever we want to see. You can right now see yourself being at a place that you love to be, right? On vacation or with people that you love to be with. You can picture it. Now, at the conscious level, that really doesn't do much there. It's just creating images and ideas. It's when you move it into the subconscious mind, your subconscious mind is your feeling mind or your emotional mind, okay? This is where your feelings and your beliefs and your paradigms are stored, that conditioning I was telling you about. So think about this for a moment. This is your feeling mind. So your conscious mind is your thinking mind, and your subconscious is your feeling mind. So you have a thought, it comes into your conscious mind, and it's going to make you feel a certain way, either good or bad, right? Think about this for a moment. If you were to think of a thought of somebody that you love, or a loving moment, or the first time you fell in love, or a pet, or maybe you had a child, think about that for a minute. How does that make you feel? At the conscious level, you actually see a picture. At the subconscious level, because you allow that into your subconscious mind, it gives you a feeling. That's a pretty good feeling, right? If you're thinking about someone you love or a loving moment, it gives you a good feeling. That feeling moves through the body that we live in, because you live in your body. It moves through the body that you live in, and it produces actions. Right? So you have a thought, it creates a feeling, the feeling moves through your body and produces action. So this feeling moves through the body and produces action. Now think about this. If you have a loving thought, you have loving feelings, your body's going to move into what kind of actions? That's right, loving actions. Those loving actions are going to produce something. What do you think they're going to produce? Right here, they're going to produce your results. So thoughts, feelings, actions, results. So if you're thinking a thought of being in love or something that you love or someone that you love, it's creating a loving feeling. The actions are going to be loving. What kind of results are you going to get? That's right, loving results. Think about this for a second, right? What we think about comes about. Simple process, isn't it? Think about being in love, feeling like you're in love, acting like you're in love, results are that you're in love. Go back to that day. You remember it when you had that loving moment. And no matter what, because you had that loving feeling, your actions were loving actions, right? Some of you guys are skipping around like a little girl, right? Because you were in love, and nothing could bother you that day. Someone could cut you off in traffic, you're like, yeah, it's okay, I'm in love, just go by, right? You could care less. And your results at the end of the day, wow, I had an amazing day. Think about that. I had an amazing day. Why did you have an amazing day? Why were your results amazing? Because of the way you were thinking. Loving thought, loving feeling, loving actions, loving results. This is the process of how the mind works. And if you can get a hold of this and really understand it and apply it, you're going to win. So let me share with you how this works with money, because I know that money isn't success, okay? But most people would like to have more of it, okay? Let's face it. Most people want to have more of it so they can do more, be more, have more, and give more. So I'm going to use a thought of money to give you an idea how this can serve you, and then how your mind can also hurt you if you don't control it and you use it the way you should, okay? So let's think a thought of money, all right? Let's just say we're going to use, you pick the number you want, okay? Any number. I'm going to use just for, because most people think $1 million is a good accomplishment. If you've already accomplished that, then think of 10 million or whatever it is. But I'm going to use $1 million. So you have this $1 million thought, or this prosperous thought, and it comes into your conscious mind. Now think about this. You've probably experienced this where you've watched you're driving down the street and you see a sign for the lottery for $100 million, and boom, a picture comes up. You're somewhere. You're not in your car, or maybe you're in a new car, right? But you can completely put yourself somewhere else. The reason why this happens is because your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. So when you imagine yourself winning $100 million or having $100 million or whatever that is for you, your subconscious mind doesn't know that that's an imagination, or it's just it's not real. It thinks it's real, so it makes you feel like that. That's why you feel really great when you're thinking about that. Right now, you're probably feeling really great just thinking about that. See, the subconscious mind doesn't know that it's not real. It's amazing how the subconscious mind works. Think about this for a moment. I'm going to give you a little example, a little flavor of how it works. How your body starts to move into action based on the fact that it doesn't know the picture isn't real. Imagine for a moment that you have a wedge of lemon in your hand. Now really picture this, okay? Work with me here. Picture this. You have a wedge of lemon in your hand, and you put that lemon in your mouth, and you squeeze the lemon juices into your mouth and allow them to go back into your throat. Now imagine that for a moment. You might have just got a shiver up your spine, right, in the back of your neck. And maybe right now, there's a good chance that your mouth is watering, right? Now, no lemons in your hand, right? Just the picture, creating in your body the feeling and the actions as if you actually had a lemon, because the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. This is powerful, and this is something that you need to understand, because whatever you're thinking about is creating a feeling. That feeling can be positive or negative. So let's go back to the money example here. So you have a thought of millions of dollars. They come into your conscious mind and it creates a picture, whatever that is for you, because everybody has a different picture. We impress this idea onto our subconscious mind, and it's going to produce a feeling, right? What kind of feelings are you going to get if you're thinking a prosperous thought like this? You're probably going to have a prosperous feeling. So let's just say prosperity feelings. These feelings are going to move into and through your body, and they're going to produce actions. If you're thinking thoughts of prosperity and you're feeling thoughts of prosperity, what kind of actions is your body going to take based on those thoughts and feelings? Probably pretty prosperous actions, right? You're going to feel good about yourself. You're going to feel like you're $1 million. It actually feels like it right now, probably, as you're watching this video. You can almost feel it, right? Because you're thinking thoughts of prosperity, you're feeling thoughts of prosperity. Your actions are going to be prosperous actions. Now, if you're thinking prosperous thoughts, you got prosperous feelings, your actions are prosperous, what are your results going to be? At some point, you're going to manifest prosperity. That's right, prosperity. Because what we think about comes about. You got this? What you think about comes about. Think about this thought long enough, causes a feeling. Now you've got to get emotionally involved in this feeling, okay? It's not going to happen without getting emotionally involved in the feeling, because when you get emotionally involved in the feeling, this body that you live in takes action. Takes action. The reaction to the action is what most people would call the law of attraction, right? So you act as a reaction. The reaction is your results, the resources, the people, the ideas, whatever it is, and boom, the money manifests in your life. Anybody who's ever achieved any success financially or any success in any area of their life, they first imagined it, they got emotionally involved in it, then their body moved based on that emotion, right? The body moved, took action, the reaction was the result. Think about this. Now, it's important to be emotionally involved in it, okay? This is the key. If you don't get emotionally involved in it, this body isn't going to move. So we're going to talk about how to get emotionally involved and why it's so important, because without the emotion, there's no action. But here's where most people struggle. They look at their results, and the results are not of prosperity. Maybe you're in that situation right now too. The results are that they don't have any money. There's lack in their life. Maybe you have $3 in your checking account. And I don't mean to make fun, because I've actually been there. I've actually been in worse shape than that, where my checking account was in the negative a lot. And I was trying to dig myself out of a hole. So I know what that feels like to be in that result. And most people, although they want prosperity, they can't get their out of their head the fact that they're struggling. Now, this can be with relationships, it can be with your health, it can be with the work that you do. It doesn't matter, but the result, if you're focusing on the result, guess what? You're creating an image of that result. You're creating a new picture in your mind of lack rather than prosperity. And what ends up happening is, because we're focusing on our result and it creates a picture rather than having prosperity in here, you have lack. It comes into your conscious mind and creates a feeling. What kind of feeling do you have right now thinking about having $3 in your checking account? I mean, you can just feel it right now in this room, and you're feeling it in your room, that the energy level just changed based on the fact that I'm thinking about $3 in my checking account, and especially at a time when I was there, that's causing me to feel bad right now, and it's creating a negative emotion, a negative feeling. That negative feeling moves through your body. What kind of actions are you taking if you're thinking lack and negative thoughts and you've got lack and negative feelings? Your body's going to move into action that's in harmony with those thoughts and those feelings. Maybe you stay home and you sit on the couch all day. Maybe when you're out, you're walking around and you feel bad, so your shoulders are drooped and your face is like stressed out, and your body is acting based on the picture, and those actions are going to produce a reaction as well. What kind of reaction you get from people when you're either laying around at home not doing anything, no action, guess what? No reaction. Or you're out and you're feeling sorry and you're feeling badly and you're stressed out. Kind of action or reaction you're going to get there? Probably negative. So therefore, the negative thought creates a negative feeling. You have negative actions. Rather than having prosperous results, you have negative results. And this continues in your life. It's a vicious cycle that never ends because you're caught up in your results. You've got to get out of your results. I often share at my seminars, imagine for a moment, you find yourself and you're in a fire. Let's just say there's a fire and there's flames all around you. And you focus on the flames, which are your results. You're sitting there focusing, say, oh my word, I'm in a fire. There are flames all around me. And you're focusing on these results. If you continue to focus on your results rather than where you want to go and what you want, what's going to happen? There's a really good likelihood that you're going to get burned, right? So the goal is to get out of the results and into what you want. Focus on where you want to go. Get out of the fire. Get out of the situation you're in by focusing on where you want to go. Get emotionally tied to that idea so the body moves in a different direction. You've probably heard stories where there are people that were homeless that became millionaires. How does that happen? Their results are that they're homeless or in the street. There's despair. But they say to themselves, I'm not going to live like this anymore. I'm going to start thinking about what I want. And guess what? When they think about what they want, they feel differently. They don't feel like laying around the streets anymore, and the body begins to get into action to produce a new result. They go and they create and they become millionaires. You've heard this before. You can do this as well. So what we're thinking about comes about. I hope you understand this concept. What I want you to do, okay? Here's an action step for you to take after this video. I want you to think about what you're thinking about. This is key. What's going on in your conscious mind? What are the pictures that are coming into your conscious mind? Now, it's very difficult to catch yourself in a negative state. Most people just don't have the awareness. So they have this negativity marinating in their brain and their mind all day long. I want you to become more aware of it. I want you to catch yourself thinking. Think about what you're thinking about. Say, okay, if that's negative, I've got to alter this. I've got to change that thought to a positive thought. And try to maintain more positive thinking than negative thinking. You're going to have to stay away from the news for a while. You're going to have to stay away from talk radio. Maybe get away from negative people. And I know that some of those negative people may have your same last name, right? And you might be stuck with them, but try to spend more time with positive people rather than negative people. Because negative people will just tear you apart. They'll bring you down. You know these negative people. You probably have someone in your life that's so negative, right? Think about the person who's so negative. They have, they hate their job, they hate the economy, they hate the country, they hate the government, they hate their family, they kick their dog, right? Think about, you know that person, right? What happens when you see that person at the grocery store? Let's just say that you're turning down the aisle of the grocery store with your carriage, and down the aisle there's Mr. or Mrs. Negative down there. The person that just every time they get around you, you feel bad. What do? You duck, right? You're like, no way, I'm not going to go there. I'm hiding, right? And then you try to time the aisle so when they're coming up, you're not going down, and you're trying to time it so that you make sure you don't bump into them, right? Now think about this. Think about somebody who's incredibly positive in your life, somebody who's always talking about how wonderful life is, they love their family, they love their work, they love our country, whatever it is, right? Think about that person, and you're walking down the aisle of a grocery store and you see that person down the end of the aisle. What do? You can't wait to run down and say hello and shake their hand. They make you feel good. They're attractive, and the other person is a repellent, right? Think about this. You've got to ask yourself this question: do I brighten a room when I walk in, or do I brighten it when I leave? Good one to think about, right? It's how you're thinking that's going to decide whether or not you brighten a room when you walk in or you leave. If you're at the grocery store and you're alone in the aisle, right, you might want to think about, what am I thinking about? Am I that negative person that's expressing it through my body? Because the difference between the person that's negative and positive at the grocery store isn't anything except for the way they think. One's thinking about lack and limitation. The other one's thinking about prosperity and abundance and loving thoughts and loving relationships. It's the only difference. It's the only difference. So what are you thinking about? What are you thinking about that's causing a feeling in your subconscious mind that's moving your body into action? Think about what you're thinking about. So this is your goal, all right? I want you to, right after this video, start being consciously aware of what you're thinking about. As you're driving around, especially even tomorrow, don't let this stop. As you're driving around, think about what you're thinking about, okay? It's important. Our thoughts become our reality. Now, I know that if you've been watching this video, you've probably already been investing in yourself through personal development programs, books, possibly some seminars, those kinds of things. And I want to honor you for that, right? I really do. However, if you're like me, you've bought the books, you've bought the programs, and although the information was really helpful, once you were done, it probably went on a shelf, and for some reason you weren't able to apply the ideas that you learned. It became shelf help instead of self-help, right? See, what you thought was self-help really didn't turn into much help at all. And even though the material might have been good, the reason this happens is because most of the programs out there, most of the books out there on personal and professional growth teach what to do, but they don't get you to do. Does that make sense? They teach you what to do, but they don't actually get you to do. This is important to understand, so let me repeat it. The programs and the books that are out there on personal and professional growth, they teach you what to do, but they don't get you to do. There are hundreds of books out there, books like on goal setting that teach you how to set goals, but they really never teach you how to achieve them, right? There are so many books, so many people buy books that talk about goal setting. Now, goal setting is an intellectual process, right? And what ends up happening is people get confused at the end of the program because even though they got all the steps down, they don't know what to do next. When my mentors help me understand the difference, all right, that's when I close the gap between knowing and doing. And you know, this is why most people are unable to move the needle in their life and really reach their full potential. They can't figure it out. They can't outperform their history with heightened levels of clarity and courage and productivity because they don't get you to do anything. They just show you how. They give you like sort of a step-by-step process, but most people don't move, okay? So let me share an example of how goal achieving is different in the model that I use because most people think that goal setting is goal achieving, but goal setting is an intellectual process, right? Goal achieving is a lawful process. Now, when people set goals, they don't usually set goals that excite them, and because they don't, they can't accomplish them. They're stuck. They set goals that they've already done maybe, right? And they're not exciting. These are goals that most people already know how to do, like maybe losing 10 pounds, you've done it before, you know how to do it, so it's not exciting. Others reach a little bit higher and they set goals that they think they can do, right? They're plans, not really goals. They do it based on the fact that they know that they have all the resources and they have the intelligence, but they don't really, it doesn't excite them either because it's really a plan with the know-how. If you want to reach your full potential, you have to set goals that you haven't done and have no idea how to do, right? This is where it gets exciting. That kind of goal, these types of goals, are what I call fantasies. They're goals that excite you and they scare you at the same time. Now, people that are living into their full potential set goals that they have no idea how they're going to accomplish because the how never matters. But this excites them into action. Remember, we talked about action, right? This is what you want. So get excited about what you want and watch this incredible body that you live in get into action to realize your dreams. Okay, one more challenge for you, okay? I want you to make a committed decision that you're going to change your life beginning right now. That you're going to reach for the rim, you're going to grab onto it, and you're not going to let go. Decide right now that you're going to live into your full potential. I mean, you're really going to start outperforming your life's history with full engagement. I mean, full engagement. Can you do this, right? Say it out loud right now. Say, it's my time. Say it again. It's my time. Say it with meaning. It's my time. How does that feel? You feel like you can accomplish anything right now, don't you? You know why? Because you can, right? It's because you can. You just need to believe in you like I believe in you. Listen, I really hope that you found value in what I shared with you today. I really hope that it served you. I really do. And what I want you to do is I want you to enter your comments below. And if you have some questions, type them in below and I'll personally respond to as many as I can. I really look forward to reading the comments and the questions. I mean, it's a big part of this, okay? So I want to wish you infinite success in all areas of your life. Go out there, reach deep within yourself, and begin to live the life that you deserve today.